What's happening, everyone? Welcome back to Pintown Finest. Now, I know I haven't done a podcast episode in a while. Well, I went through how can I put this? I went through an interesting phase. Interesting. Saying that sounded like, I went through an interesting phase. I kind of got rid of a lot of things. Basically, I went through a phase where if it wasn't needed, it wasn't wanted. So basically, I got rid of all my wants and kept all my needs, as far as, things I need to do what I need to do as far as taking care of my business, everyday work, my little entertainment thing as far as doing YouTube videos, podcasting, those type of things. All the stuff that I wanted, well, I wouldn't say I wanted, all the stuff that I had that I wanted because I just wanted it, I got rid of, sold off, gave away, depending on the situation. So now I just have stuff I need to function for what I need to get done. Because after a while, it was just a bunch of clutter in my house, and it was just in the way for real. So that's what happened. So that's what I went through. And I just readjusted some things, did some things differently, where I am going to be doing the podcast video form, but I'm not going to be shooting video on myself. What I'm going to do is this. When it comes to me, like on this episode right here, I'm going to do like an audio style with a, picture or whatever in the video, but I'll have like overlaps of whatever I'm talking about, the subject title, whatever it may be, like a product or a story that's involved. I'll have like a B-roll overlay type shot over it while I'm talking when I'm by myself. Now, if I have a guest and I'm doing like an interview style, that's when I'll do the video where you can see me and the guest, the interaction, the conversation, where you can kind of see a conversation being had between two people. You know what I mean? So, or I have a co-host. Then I'll add the video to it because then it's more functional because I'm not the only one there. When I'm by myself and I get off a 12-hour day work day, I don't feel like setting up everything to shoot a video, to do that. And yes, I have days off, but sometimes on my days off, I need to recoup one day because of the burnout I have from work. And then I come here and do something like, so when I'm by myself solo on the podcast, you'll just see a video version. It's going to be audio and some video clips or whatever I'm talking about. That's what I've come up to. Because right now it's perfect. Right now, I'm at my desk with my Rodecaster Duo, my laptop, microphone, recording. I don't need no certain lighting. Set up the camera, make sure it don't overheat. None of that stuff. Not saying I don't have cameras that run for a long period of time. It's just it just comes to a point where setting up and breaking down gets a bit of a headache when you by yourself. If I got help, I'm cool. But right now, I don't have no help. I'm by myself. I'm solo right now. So I got to make this functional for me. And that's why it is the way it is right now. So please work with me here. I'm changing things up. I'm doing things. I still want to do this because this is like a stress reliever. I could take myself, rant a little bit, get some thoughts off, talk about some things that's really concerning to me. So it really gives me the platform where I can kind of just vent a little bit and kind of get it out my system and get feedback from it, So now let's start with some things I've been paying attention to out here on these internet streets. Now, most of the time on this podcast, I talk about, technology. I talk about entertainment as well, shows and movies. But everything in this world has become digitalized, right? You got apps that you can pay bills through apps. You can manage other things, all kinds of stuff. And now, like, you have smart devices like cameras, smart displays with virtual assistants, weather, all kinds of stuff, smart like lights, like everything, like washers and dryers are becoming like smart devices, refrigerators. So everything is becoming like ways to make things a little easier for us as far as managing certain things. So right. So I was browsing the internet and I came across this. Now this may not be a new thing, but I just kind of came across it and it was kind of like, I'm not surprised, but I'm like, how does this work, right? A smart ring. I'm talking about like, not like a Ring doorbell. I'm talking about a physical ring that goes around your finger that's smart to monitor your heart and sleep patterns, I'm guessing. But Apple hasn't talked about making one, but Samsung did. And basically a lot of these little small devices like smart watches, smart bands, and now a smart ring, you need something else to connect it to kind of make it work more efficient to what it's supposed to do. It's not going to work just solely by itself. It's always needed like a phone or maybe a watch to kind of piggyback off of that type of thing. So it's funny that that's a thing now because it's interesting because if you have a smartwatch and a smart ring or whatever, right? Whatever they're going to call these things. So having both of them amplifies the use of monitoring your sleep patterns if you have any, I guess, abnormal breathing problems or whatever, or some type of undisclosed health issues that could arise by using it. Now that would be great. Like, say you can get diagnosed with something and the smart ring and the smart watch can detect early signs of whatever and help you, attack whatever it is. Now that will be a medical miracle that hopefully that can be a part of the equation when it comes to these smart rings and smart devices that, link together and make more health conscious decisions depending on what they, find out if you have breathing problems, asthma, or some type of sleep apnea, any type. I don't know. Like, it's just, when I saw a smart ring, I was like, I don't wear rings in the first place. And from what I saw, they look real big and bulky. So it can be real, like, a bit of a problem because a big bulky ring, can hurt your finger over a while, especially if you don't wear them. Like, I don't wear them at all. So, but I guess, what if it was tests I need to do to, say if I got like a breathing problems, or irregular heartbeat, something that where it can help me and get the help I need for whatever medical thing if that's, the purpose of trying to make it more of a medical thing where it can help out with certain health issues that may not be detectable by, looking at, but can be one of these situations where you can't physically see it, but it's a problem brewing inside, If that's the whole idea of it for medical purposes and more than just monitoring your sleep patterns, wouldn't mind that. Or like you've been diagnosed with something and the smart ring helps with monitoring the process you need to, get the medical treatment you need. Something like that. I don't know. And I'm like, people talking about these things, and I'm sitting here like, okay, how? I mean, I'm more of a wait and see approach guy because it may be some function to this. It may be some things that can help out someone who has health issues. You know what I mean? So it's good to come up with medical devices or, solutions to problems where it comes. It's not as expensive to get treatment for something once you figure out the diagnosis of the problem by using smart devices to help out. The problem is the cost of healthcare, where that's where the main problem is, and it needs to be addressed. I work at a job that gives me health care. I mean, my kids are well taken care of as far as medical, everything else. But there should be some type of program or plan out there where you can kind of get decent coverage at a reasonable price. Because for me, solo, with me and my kids, it costs $2,000 a month to cover all of us. But working at my job is $75 a check. I'll take that cost. So I'm cool with that. So, but it's one of these type of situations with these smart rings. And when I saw it, I was like, I'm more of a sit back and kind of see how this develops and what it becomes down the long run, right? And we can go from there when it comes to just trying to make this useful product that can help medical miracles in the long run. You know what I mean? So now I want to transition into something else that I've seen floating around on the interwebs. Now, the reviews came out for the MacBook Air M3 laptop, right? I have the MacBook Air M2, right? The new 15-inch one. Love it to death. Big screen. Like, I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I'm spoiled when it comes to big screens, right? I have a 65-inch in the man cave. I have a 65-inch in the living room. I have a 55-inch in my room. And my son has a 55-inch in his room. My daughter has a 50-inch in her room. So big screens run in the house, right? Same thing like when it came to laptops. I got me a MacBook Pro that has a 16-inch screen. And then I looked at my 13-inch MacBook Pro from years ago, and I'm looking like, why did I do that to myself? Knowing damn well I like a big screen, why did I do that to myself? When the MacBook Air came out, 15-inch, I went and go and got it. Baseline, like I said, when I purchased mine, I didn't expect it to be a workhorse. I didn't need it to be one. I had a MacBook Pro. So I didn't need it to be a workhorse. I just needed something portable and light I could take with me on the road where I can, if I needed to do something that required some work, I can do it. Might be a little hassle with it, but I can get it done. So that was the whole plan with it. So I got that. And been holding up functioning wise. I got it set up to a Dell 27-inch monitor, 4K, that has USB power delivery display cable with it that charges it from time to time. So I don't even plug a regular charger. I just use the USB-C, right? It has MagSafe. Cool, love it. Barely use that feature, right? So one complaint I thought was interesting. I didn't know this was a thing. But apparently some people who have actually bought the MacBook Air with the M3 chip, if you have the laptop open, right, and you want to hook two displays, it doesn't work. It'll power one display, but if you want to power a second display, you have to close the laptop. I'm not sure, depending on the person, that actually has the laptop open while they use it as like a desktop. But there's some people out there. And which is weird to me, it works with one but not two open there. So that was the big complaint people had. And I was like, I didn't know, like, I'm looking at it as if you do have a MacBook Air and you want to have two displays, I would think you would have like a Mac Mini or a Mac Studio, right? Depending on the person. So I guess you don't want to spend $5,000 for a Mac Studio and use two displays. You'd rather use a reasonable laptop that's a little cheaper, and you can use it as a desktop with two monitors, just, that. So I saw that floating around. I was like, oh, wow, I didn't know that was like a thing. But anybody who doesn't like using an actual desktop, as far as a Mac Studio, Mac Mini, those type of things, that like their workhorse is basically a laptop. I see a lot of people use the MacBook Pro as don't even have a desktop setup, just have a MacBook Pro, right? and got like portable hard drives they work off of and things like that. So there are people out there. I just, like, for me, I just didn't know it's a marketplace for the MacBook Air to be doing those type of things. But, a lighter laptop that got a little bit of power to it is always welcome, because, power and portability is always welcome. A lot of people don't like the MacBook Pro because it's bulky, a little heavy. If you wear it for a long period of times in a book bag or backpack, whatever, it'll take its toll on you. It'll put some weight down on you. But that's one of the things. Now, when I saw some of the reviews and things like the complaints, I was just like, oh wow, because when I bought mine, I didn't look at mine in that way. I use it in the desktop form from time to time, but I only got one screen because I got the Dell 4K monitors that power deliver, right? So for me, I just use one monitor, and I used to have two monitors, and I got away from it because I wasn't as focused with two monitors. Some people use two monitors and function just well, right? Me, I don't know. I had two monitors, and I just had an issue with it. Let me rephrase from using issue. I just found it very distracting because I was just, more marveled in the amaze of having two monitors and working, instead of actually just focusing on doing the best I could with the videos that I had. So when I got to one monitor, I focused more because I didn't have the other monitor to kind of turn my head to. You know what I mean? So for me, I just use one monitor because it just functions for me. But it is people out there that has 2 to 3 to 4 monitors and work off of. So these people are not out of the norm. There's actually a lot of people like that. I wonder if my son has a setup like that. I know he does a gaming thing, but I don't know if he got 2 monitors or one. Just curious. I may have to check it out one day when I go past his house. So that's something is a thing. And I seen a lot of complaints about it, and I was just like, oh, wow. Like I said, I didn't think, for me, when I bought a MacBook Air, I didn't look at it as a workhorse. I guess some people are looking for one as a workhorse that you can do mostly everything they can do with a Pro, just in a more portable laptop as far as the new Air with the M3 chips. So that was a big thing in the reviews I watched. But I'm not working with boatloads of pictures and 8K videos. I mean, I shoot in 6K. That's oversample for 4K, where my videos, may have a little bit more sharpness to it because of, the 6K sensor in my cameras. So I don't have crazy workloads when it comes to video. But we have to wait and see, with any new chips or software updates, will there be any workarounds with that? Or will they make it where you can have it open? Because I know with the Air, there's only 2 Thunderbolt ports, where, with the Pro, that's why I feel like they need to put a third one on the Airs on the other side. You know what I mean? Because maybe the power delivery, once it goes into sleep mode, once you close the lid, it'll let the other one kind of work, and that's how you get the 2 monitors. But if you had them on both sides, can you still have to close it or keep it open? Well, we'll see what Apple does. Because supposedly there's supposed to be an Apple event coming soon. No official dates I've seen. But we'll have to wait and see if any workarounds come with that. So, but, it's something to keep an eye on. And more of a wait and see approach when it comes to that. And since I'm still talking about Apple, I want to talk about some other things I've seen online. Apple Vision Pro, how it's having some issues, right? Now, some people returned it because I guess people assumed it would be one thing, but it's completely something else. And that's a given when it comes to new products. You may have thought it was going to be something one way, and when you got it, it wasn't delivering the way you thought. That happens. The question I wouldn't say a question that came up, something I've noticed. I was watching the video. Some people are complaining about it's cracking directly in the middle of the glass, right? And it's not like a rigid one where it's kind of like some, ups and downs to it, whatever. It's more of a complete straight line that cracks completely down the middle. Now, that can be, I don't know. It could be something within the design and the glass cracks because of certain pressures, or if it's I don't know. It could be anything, right? Because it's just weird that it's a perfect line that I've seen straight down the middle. Not like diagonal or slightly straight and slightly little turn to it, or like, a little lean. None of that. So it was like odd to see it. It was complete straight line. So it's been floating around online about that. And it's just not like a one isolated issue, but like a few people have had this issue. And like the average person, right, who don't see themselves spending $3,500 for a device. So I'm with y'all with that one. And it's like, I would like to use one, like for at least a week, to see like the pros and cons about it, I wouldn't spend my own money to get one because I don't see the function for me on a regular basis. To watch a movie, right? I'm sorry. Now, if you can give me wearing that with maybe a 100-foot screen and my surround sound with it, oh yeah, I would like to experience that, But I don't know. Like my man cave is, I want to say analog because it's I have like an old stereo 5.1 system, so I kind of like analog. Cause what's that? Dolby Atmos, where they got like a whole like, I don't know. I think it's like 10 speakers. It may be higher than that now. 3 subwoofers and all that other stuff, and you can kind of feel like in an actual surround sound environment. Give me that experience plus, whatever the Vision Pro screen can go up to. I would like to see that. So it's not like I'm not against it, but it's like $3,500 for something I might use once in a while. Yeah, and I get it. That's why a lot of people return them. And now you're hearing on top of that, the cracked screens. So I just was like, I'm not surprised. First time product from Apple, something completely off the norm when it comes to devices. Now, the Oculus and everything else, there's been other ones that's out there, but this is the first Apple one. And what Apple is all about, the ecosystem. It's never been about one individual product that just does something that's not connected to the whole Apple ecosystem. They're all supposed to work in tandem with everything when it comes to their devices. So if you don't have a big Apple ecosystem, it's probably not as functional as it would be to the average person, you know what I mean? But I'm like, it's like when PlayStation and Microsoft come out with new systems, there's always some faulty ones. Microsoft had a big thing years ago with the 360, the red. They had a whole thing for it, the red ring of death, and it was a big problem. And they actually tried to accommodate as many people as they could when it came to that. So it is what it is. But probably the second gen or third gen one, it'll be perfected and more optimized for other uses. But right now, it's not. And I wouldn't say it's not. It's just a lot of people don't find too much use for it. Because I know some people use it for VR games, things like that. So the formula is there, but give it time where basically let their software catch up to it, then it should be fine. But yeah, the cracked screen directly down the middle, yeah, that's more of a design thing than anything for it to be that. It's not an isolated incident, and it's the same thing. So it's more, let's wait and see. Now, the last thing I want to mention in this podcast, Nikon buys Red, right? Now, from what I gathered from this story, Red was suing Nikon over a patent that Nikon violated and all these things. I never had a Nikon camera, so I couldn't tell you how their cameras are, lenses, none of that stuff. So, don't know. Never owned a Red camera either. But it was the talk of the town on the internet, people who like do filmmaking, shoot commercials, videos, all these things about this and what's possibly happened. Because some people have Red cameras. And the one person I thought of was Marquez Brownlee, because I think he has a mixture. I've seen him have Canon cameras, Sony cameras, but Red is like, I would say, his baby, right? I remember years ago when I seen him have one of these cameras, I said, that camera is huge. And then it was a modular style camera where he can change things, and he really liked that aspect of it. And then when he bought his, it was $30,000. And I was like, for a camera? But this is when, like if I look back at it, I've been following Marquez for about 10 plus years. Like I want to say I first came across his video when he was 15, right? And he's about 30 now, because I'm in my 40s. I think he's 30, 31 or something like that. So I've been following him for years. To hear he spent that type of money, then I realized, you got to remember, he's been doing it since he was in high school and went into college. So all the revenue he was getting from his videos back then, because his college was paid for by his pop, if I believe. So he was making all this money, and I'm sitting here like, okay, makes sense. And I was just like, wow, he spent that kind of money. And he was big on cameras. And then he said for the longest, he was he was a solo creator by himself. He ain't had no help. And so he became like one of the most successful YouTube tech channels out here. You know what I mean? And I looked at it. I was like, okay, how does he feel about it? And he was a little shocked. But then once she went down a list of things, since Nikon was being sued, they went on to just put the company that was suing them. So it goes away, basically. And the question was brewing with people who had those cameras was, what's going to happen between Red, Nikon, and what's all these other things? Like, are Red cameras going to just suddenly have Red features, or are they just going to kind of ditch their cameras, focus all on Red cameras? Like, it was one of those type questions. And I found it very, very interesting to see what happens. Like I said, I never had a Nikon camera, never owned a Red either. So I'm waiting to see kind of like the outcome of this. Because a lot of people, like a lot of the filmmakers I watch, was talking about this and the pros and cons of it and what they're more of like a way to see approach. So it's interesting to see like the overall outcome that's going to happen. And like, will Red be as what it is, or will they change it up and do things different? Will they try to implement other things? You know what I mean? Like, I'm curious to see, like, what's going to happen. Because, like I said, I don't have either one of those cameras, but I'm curious to see what happens because they seem pretty not in favor of it, but more of a wait and see approach and see what happens. Because this, like right now they bought them, but this probably won't take effect until like 4 years from now, where you start to see the changes implement. Or they just doesn't change a thing and just give them more distribution when it comes to getting their cameras out to other type of creators or whatever. Content creators, filmmakers, whatever you want to call them. But we more have a wait and see approach when it comes to, you know, the overall outcome for it. I was just like curious to see, like, wait, what? And then when I found out like the details, they were suing them. They just get bored up. That get you leave us alone. We just buy y'all. Were they hot? What's the saying? You know, big fish swallow the small fish or whatever, or something along those lines. Why pay y'all when we can just buy y'all? That's basically the flex they just pulled. So, yeah, that's just funny. Like, sue us. Okay, we got something for y'all. Purchased. We bought y'all. So, that's all for this episode. Like I said, when I'm by myself, solo dolo, the video podcast will be an audio with some clips over top of it of what I'm talking about. You're not going to see my face. Sometimes I ain't camera ready. Sometimes I don't, you know what I mean? I don't feel like being camera ready. But if I have an interview or a host or someone to do the show with me, that's when I'll do like a video of us shooting it, talking, giving our opinions on things, that type of situation. When I'm by myself, the whole setup process is the worst. Right now, I have the perfect layout, right? I got my table, got my boom arm or my Shure SM7B, my Rodecaster Duo, and my laptop with my notes here. Cool. I ain't got to worry about no lighting, no nothing. Just press and go, right? You know, with video, the whole setup, I don't feel like that. Now, if I had like a studio space where I can kind of just flick on switches and go, that's fine. But the setup and the build up and the breakdown is the pain. I don't feel like that part. So work with me here, please. So that's how it's going to be from now on. Thank you guys for checking this out. See you next time on Pentown's Finest. See you later.